Hello, hello. Welcome to Take Me to Paris. This is a Paris sunrise quick mini workshop. So I'm going to go right in from the sketching to the watercolor. So what I have down right now is I've got my piece of paper, and honestly what I started doing is I started taking all the leftover papers from projects I'd worked on. So if you have leftover paper, grab that, use that. This is going to be a quick sketch in watercolor, and then we'll come back and add some more pen and ink and a little bit more watercolor to the layering. But we're going to go ahead and do our Eiffel Tower. So when I went to Paris for the first time this past fall, it was amazing. The whole city was just so much fun, and I didn't even begin. I felt like I really touched the tip of the iceberg. But I came back and have started to do a number of paintings and thought I wanted to include just a fun workshop. I think Paris and the Eiffel Tower is representative of so many dreams for us. And so as we start off this new year, if you're watching it in January, this is just representative for me and hopefully for you of just what is in your heart to dream about this year. So with the Eiffel Tower, what we want to make sure of, this is the picture I took when I was going under the bus. You can see how complicated. I mean, it is a beautiful, majestic, but we're really going to be doing an impression of it. So we are not going to, don't get bogged down by detail. What I really want us to focus on is we're just going to get some of the shape. So when you look at your painting or someone else looks at it, you're going to be like, okay, that's the Eiffel Tower. So really I was doing a bunch of sketches, and the big thing, this sketch was really turning out the best, but you want to know with the Eiffel Tower, just like this is an unfinished one over here. Oh, I'm looking for one to use. This is an unfinished painting, but this Eiffel Tower, the top half is a little bit longer than the bottom. The bottom is short and stout, more so. So the most telling thing about the Eiffel Tower when you start sketching it is that you want to make sure that top half is taller. And I say top half, what I'm talking about is this part, the very tip of it, down to the kind of the base makes up more than half of it. So if you have your phone, grab your iPhone, look up on Pinterest. We're looking for an Eiffel Tower. You want to avoid an ink. We want to just look at it as we're looking at it from the distance. So I've got a number of sketches that I'm looking at, and I have another watercolor sketch that's unfinished, but this is similar to what we're going to be doing here. I want to go ahead and start. I'm going to go either side. We're going to go a little bit off to the side, because remember that always creates a more interesting painting. So a little bit off to the side, that tip. And then what I start doing is, okay, if this is my bottom part, I'm going to mark out my bottom about right here, because I really want to make sure I'm getting those measurements correct. So I'm going to go ahead and do that bottom curvature part. Again, if you have Pinterest open, you have a picture of the Eiffel Tower, grab that so you can look at it. And then I'm going to have the top part. Again, this is, and if more than halfway is really going to be, if this was half and half here, then I really want to go, this is going to be, I want all of this to be my top portion. Okay, so that means this guy is going to be going all the way down that very top Eiffel Tower pinnacle. And it's just a quick sketch, so you don't worry about getting everything perfect. We're going to about here. I'm going to draw that first landing. Again, if I'm looking at this picture, you can see there's just a short distance. And really what I've done and been looking at is, if you have, sometimes it's easier, I'll draw the middle part of that opening, and that kind of gives me sets the stage for drawing around it. There we go. The end, and you know what? I actually made it not quite tall enough. I just caught what I was doing. So it's super easy to, let's go a little bit lower here. We want that lower here. I've got this part. It's really easy when you draw to draw, your mind will fill in the blanks. You're oftentimes, if we're not looking at something and paying attention to things like the shape of it, like how tall it really is, we think we know what it is. Our mind will tell us, oh, it's equal. You know, you look at the Eiffel Tower, it looks like it's 3 segments and they're all equal heights, but they're not. So always, if you ever, just never be embarrassed to go ahead and measure with your fingers, or stop sketching, erase, go back. All right. And then once again, I've got my inside part here. So now, good. If that was half my paper, I really wanted this top half to create more than half. Great. And with this sketch of the Eiffel Tower, we're a little bit, it might disappear to the side. That's okay. See, I'm going to run into it. That is just fine. In fact, this is a pretty short and stout area. That's okay. We're not going to complete the whole thing on the page. Not a big deal. Not a big deal at all. Okay. So we've got this. We're going to shorten this. Grab my eraser again. Because if you notice in pictures of the Eiffel Tower, it starts off, it goes off a little bit here, almost like a railing. But then it continues on. Fantastic. So we've kind of got the basic shape. And we're going to deepen the shadows and whatnot with our paint. So don't worry about that too much right now. All right, we've got this part here. We've got our base here. And then if you want to I kind of like to make a line right here because it shows where this is going out, and we're going to do some shadowing in that area. Okay, I'll go ahead. I'm going to do a line here because again, it's just showing that length, that thickness, and I want to make sure I get my shadows correct. So there'll be some shadows along the way here and here, and then down here and down here. Okay, so if you've been to Paris, you know, depending on what direction you're coming from, you'll see different things. So we're going to pretend that we're coming up on what I think is the back side, and there's a bunch of trees. So I am going to just sketch in. You can even just outline. These are going to be just loose trees. And honestly, the other thing I want to do is I want to just do a bit of a path, as if someone was walking to the Eiffel, and the path's going to end about here. We're just going to put more trees. The trees might come up to the base. We want to be covering the trees here. It actually was very pretty from the back because the trees almost, I bet it's gorgeous in the spring. They just all bloomed. When I went in the fall, in October, it wasn't quite, the leaves hadn't quite turned yet, so they were just a little bit yellow, but they were still all on the trees. Okay, so there's our sketch. There's our path there. We might even have it going out a little bit farther. We want to what we're doing is we're creating a path for the eye to go to. So you're always, when you look at your painting, you don't want things spread evenly. The eye won't know where to focus. You want to create a path of a line, so either going down this way or up here. Okay, so if you have your paints, go ahead and grab those. And again, this is just a quick sketch. This is a warm-up. We're using some leftover paper. We're kind of getting into the new year. We're looking ahead. We're letting our mind and our heart just kind of roll around some ideas and dreams that we might have. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to do this. The back is going to be the sunrise. So this is a sunrise. I'm going to do I'm going to do it yellow, of course, for the sunrise, but I'm going to be adding some pink. I have been seeing some gorgeous sunrises here where I am in California, and it kind of reminded me of when I was in Paris. There's just some beautiful, beautiful sunrises. And it's true, the Parisian people, Europeans, in general, don't get up too early. And so when I went out early, it was pretty quiet. Nighttime was a whole different story. It was full for sure at night, and the city was alive. I never stayed out really late on this particular trip. I was on my own and kind of just getting my feet underneath me. So usually I'd be up early, and by the time it was evening, 7, 8 o'clock, I was kind of ready to go back and plan the next day. Okay, so again, our sunrise is a little bit more. I want the eye again, make sure to get some areas of the sunrise here, and then don't forget underneath our horizon line is about right there, creating again that interesting look. We don't ever want it halfway. Okay, now I'm gonna grab some pink, that rose pink, and I'm gonna get it pretty. You can see here, I'm adding quite a bit of water, and the reason is I'm gonna just drop it. I'm gonna drop some ink. I'm sorry, not ink, paint right in there. I want to create some color, and I'm going to take a smaller brush now, and I'm going to just move that color up, leaving the pinkest part at the base, as if the sun is indeed coming up a little bit, just a little bit here. Just a little bit up there. I'm going to grab a little bit of water. I'm just pulling it. You know when you look outside and the sky is just aglow. And we're going to color it up with some green. So don't be nervous if you think it's getting into your trees. That's going to be okay. We're going to color it up with a deeper color. And maybe I'm going to add a little bit of yellow here because that was pretty pink. I didn't quite want it. And if you feel like you're not getting the blend you want, grab just a little bit of yellow with quite a bit of water in it. And you can just kind of pull it up. And if you really think it's too much, you can grab a brush with just clean water, and you see that'll spread it a little bit more. Great. That looks nice. Maybe just a little bit of pink, just a little bit. Okay, now what we're going to have to be careful of as we're doing this is if we get paint where it's wet, as you know, it's going to bleed. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to do my pathway down here. I'm going to use an ultramarine blue and some Payne's gray to create a charcoal path. And we have to think too, it's sunrise, which means everything's going to be pretty dark. So our trees are going to be dark because as the sun's coming up, there's a lot of shadows around still. So we're going to be including those. So go ahead. Oh, I got a little bit. And I'm going to just do my path here. Leave some white spots. Since it's watercolor, we want to leave a little bit of white in there. Okay, and now too, I'm going to use that same color. I want to get a little bit more blue, I think. A little bit more blue in there. And being careful not to bleed into the sky. I'm just laying down some color. I won't quite do the edges quite yet. This is going to be darker. That ridge. Don't forget to leave some white. We don't want to cover it completely up. That's another ridge right there. And we'll be highlighting that with another color. We're going to have shadows under here, under the curvature. You can actually, even looking straight at the Eiffel Tower, I could see it deep, that curvature going off to the other side. The beautiful architecture and the metal framing of the Eiffel Tower is truly magnificent. Okay, and again, laying down some color there, kind of the highlights. We're going to color some more in, and let's go back up here. Okay. Again, I'm nervous about going too much to the edge because I don't want it to bleed out into my sky. So I'm going to move that just a little bit here. Great. So we've got this laid down. It does look a little bit messy, but our watercolors normally do with the style that we're doing. This is really much a sketch watercolor. So I'm not concerned about perfectionism. Let's go ahead and grab some green, and I'm going to mix a little bit of ultramarine into my green. And I'm using a Hooker's green. You can also use a permanent green. It's going to be really nice. You could do a sap green. That's going to create a warmer color. I just want to keep the colors a little bit more cool. And so I'm going to start going in here. Not getting too close to my skyline, trying to make sure that I don't bleed into the colors. I want them to, you see where I got a little bit here. And we'll go back in, leave some white, so just dabbing. Again, sketch watercolor, so we're not worried about perfection. That was a little bit too much blue, I think, for me for right now. So I think I'm going to go back in with some green. I'm just going to dab it in there. We'll go. And just keep going. If at all, you see my blue bled a little bit, but that's okay. We're going to do green here as well, some more trees. Again, leaving some white spots because it is watercolor. We're looking to reflect off a little bit. All right, I am going to add a little bit more blue to my green now and go back with some more shadows. There we go. A little bit easier down here, right, because we don't have any other color laid down. Going back up here. Please don't bleed. It's always a little bit of a risk. If you do find it just started bleeding into your sky, grab a paper towel and just blot it. Okay, that is looking really, really nice. I really like that. We have some of the pink in here. We've still got the pink around. I'm going to do a little bit more in here to show those trees. Okay, now take a little bit of water to your brush. Get a little bit of the light green. We're just going to lay out a little bit of some like grass. A little around the path, just a little bit. Because again, it's dark out. The sun is rising, so everything is going to be a bit in shadow. And then we're going to come back, we'll add the stems of the trees, and that's going to add some depth and draw it down a bit. And we're also going to go back and we'll finish up our Eiffel Tower as well. I am going to go now, I'm going to use a smaller brush. I'm going to go back in. I've got a little bit of a brighter blue on my palette. I think it's the phthalo blue, which I really love. And I'm going to use that and just highlight this area here. Again, this is a fun sketch. We're not looking for exactly like the Eiffel Tower, but you know, you're going to look, oh, that's the Eiffel Tower. We're not looking to do tons of detail, but we will do some detail work with our pen. If you want to use that, you know, the end of the brush, that straight edge, and do some lines just like the Eiffel Tower. Again, hopefully if you have your phone open, you can see all the different metal, all the different rod work. Isn't that beautiful? So what I try to do even down here is maybe I'll just do a little bit where you're just showing the hint of that metal work, just like that, the hint of it. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, going back in with some light darker blue. Again, because it is sunrise, everything's going to be darker. Okay, that is coming along really nicely. Now, down here, this part of the kind of the short round part, that is going to be a lot of shadow. It's going to be quite dark. Try not to hit my trees, but I really want to emphasize the curvature, but the shadow, I might go ahead and grab a little bit of Payne's Gray and add some in there too. And then in here too, there's going to be shadow here. So just, you know, get a little bit, not tons. And the edges here. Okay. That's coming along nicely. Okay, so this is good. This is beautiful. It does look like our Eiffel Tower, does it not? I'm going to add in, what we'll do when we'll come back is I want to add in, I'll probably add in a little bit of yellow flecks just to keep the yellow going a little bit round. I'll probably put a little bit of yellow in the path. We'll add in our tree stems, but really this is coming along really nicely. And then we'll do some pen work and make it our beautiful beginning of the year Take Me to Paris Eiffel sketch.